Hey guys, long time no see. I've been meaning to get back on here and say hi to you all live, but I've had quite a challenging last couple of months. So anyway, welcome. I know this timing's not great for a lot of you. Most of you probably are at work, and yesterday was the Super Bowl, so I thought I would just take a couple of minutes to talk about dreams today. And the reason for my timing is because I have a new class starting today about dreams, and it's a short 2-week class. So I wanted to get something up today for those of you who are interested in dreams. I don't teach this class very often. I haven't taught this class in a few years. So if any of you are interested in learning about dreams, today is your chance to hop on there. You're not going to miss too much if you guys decide to hop on there now. So go to my website, pamcoronado.com, if you want to join us for the dream class. So dreams are huge for me because dreams played such a significant role in my career and actually getting me on this path and sort of helping me along the way. So I love dreams. I think they're brilliant, and I still continue to work with my dreams. So for me, every dream has meaning. They're not just nonsensical, crazy stress relief from your subconscious, as some people like to believe. I just believe that they all carry some sort of a message for you. And unexplored dreams are sort of like unopened letters. So I love working with dreams, and there are different types of dreams. One is visitation dreams, which some of you, I'm sure, have experienced, where a loved one comes by to say hello and let you know that they are okay and they are on the other side. Then there are empathic dreams, and that is a big subject for me because I've had so many empathic dreams where I was dreaming through the eyes of another person. And as some of you have heard my story about my beginnings in this field, I actually dreamed about a woman's murder through her perspective in the dream. So I've had several of those types of dreams, and those are called empathic dreams. They're kind of confusing to sort out whether you're actually having that experience or it's an empathic dream. So we're going to talk about that in class. And precognitive dreams. I believe that there's a precognitive aspect to most dreams. And I think that this is overlooked a lot in some of the modern interpretation type books, where they discount some of the precognitive aspects of dreams. And I believe that even though some dreams are just guidance dreams or protection type dreams, I still think that there's a precognitive aspect to a lot of dreams that you don't realize until hindsight. So I always recommend that you get a journal. It's super important to write down your dreams, and you can do your best to analyze them at the time. Hi, Kathy. But really, they make the precognitive aspect of it makes a lot more sense in retrospect. So that's why it's so important to record them and go back over them later to understand the messages that you got, and that will help you sort of interpret your dreams when you're going forward. So I've done a lot of that. I know too that sometimes people struggle to remember their dreams, and that's a problem for people. But honestly, just setting the intention that you want to remember your dreams more. And hi, good to see you. that you want to remember your dreams more, and that you are making a concentrated effort really actually does make a huge difference in remembering your dreams. So the act of actually writing them down is hugely important too. Hi, Joanne. Nice to see you. So, so definitely get a journal. It doesn't have to be fancy. Some people like to get a fancy one just for fun. But any kind of a notebook that you have that that you just devote to that particular for your dreams is just as fine. And there's a few tips. Some people have trouble remembering their dreams, like I said. For me, one of the important things, you know, they have a lot of tricks to helping you remember your dreams, but one of them is to not roll over. They say if you roll over, that actually will, or change position, the way you're laying, will actually cause you to forget. So if you do wake up and you have a dream in your mind, if you can just replay it without moving, if you can just sort of replay it in your mind a couple of times to cement it in, then you can grab your journal. I keep a journal right by my bed, so I don't have to get up and go looking for it or anything like that. It's just right there and it's ready. And then you can just record what you remember most, and record the dream. Sometimes I will, you know, we remember the end part. We remember the part that was happening just before we woke up. So sometimes if you sort of go through it backwards, so you can ask yourself what happened before that, what happened before that, then you can work your way, kind of walk your way backwards through it, and do your best to record all of the details that you can remember in your dream. So, so that helps. There's some other weird little tips that I have about remembering dreams. One of them is that they've actually done studies on this, so it's not just me being crazy. They have found that if you don't remember your dreams, sometimes it's a vitamin deficiency. So it really does help to take vitamin B complex. I have found that to be true for myself too. So I think that hormones and some other health issues and medications and those kinds of things do play some role in if you can remember your dreams or not. But if you do have trouble remembering your dreams, try vitamin B complex and see if that does help you. So, so like I said, if you stay still, if you remember it when you wake up and you stay still and just replay it in your mind before you move, and then, like I said, walk yourself backwards through it. What happened before that? What happened before that? And then just capture what you can remember. And then, like I said, it will, you know, hopefully just that you've set your intention to try to remember your dreams and you're making an effort, you'll find that you start having more dreams and remembering them better. So the types of dreams, again, are visitation dreams, empathic dreams. That's where you dream from somebody else's point of view. Precognitive dreams. And I have found, just for me, I have found that I have definitely had a lot of precognitive dreams that were about world events, but they have personal messages sort of mixed in with them. So, so I don't think they fit neatly into a box of this is just a guidance dream for you, or this is just a precognitive dream. I think that they're sort of a blending of those two things. There's definitely dreams meant for protecting us. And some of the most interesting dreams, some of the ones I really like to work on helping people interpret, are what I call blind spot dreams. So we all have a blind spot. We all have something in our life that we can't see clearly. And our dreams like to point those things out where we could improve. And those are the dreams that are the hardest for us to interpret by ourselves, because obviously we're having a hard time seeing ourselves, seeing our blind spot. So sometimes those are the ones that it helps to have somebody help you interpret. But I find blind spot dreams really fascinating because they are so brilliant. And they show us something that we're not looking at, or something that we could do to help ourselves that we just we're not seeing clearly. So so like I said, most students that I have still have a hard time with the interpretation, because they're still having a hard time looking at that issue clearly. But that's why it's sort of being shown to us, because it's meant to help us. Nightmares and recurring dreams are always important. Nobody likes nightmares, but nightmares are usually just trying to get our attention. So if you're having nightmares, or you're having some recurring dream that happens over and over and over, your subconscious is trying to get your attention. It's trying to tell you something. So those are the dreams that are most important to pay attention to. So if you're having nightmares, really stop and record them and pay attention to them, because they have a message for you. And they will stop once you get the point, once you get the message. Those nightmares will stop. So those of you who know me, who know my work, know that I had lots and lots of nightmares in the beginning when I first started doing this work. And they all included crimes. A lot of them were empathic dreams, where I was dreaming through the eyes of the victim. I've definitely had dreams where I dreamed through the eyes of the perpetrator too. And they're very alarming and disturbing, and you wake up feeling kind of rattled and shaken by it. But if you can step back from it emotionally and take a look at the dream, there are ways to determine whether that was about your life, or that was just an empathic dream about something that's happening to someone else. So I found those to be the most confusing and difficult to work with. But I over the years have come to where I can sort of recognize that I'm having that kind of experience, and it's not a warning dream, say, about my own life. But I dreamed, I was being shot at, chased, trapped in situations. That was happening a lot in the early days before I started doing this work. And really, once I started training and taking classes and gaining some control of my intuition, all of those dreams went away. Once in a great while, hi Mary, once in a great while I'll have dreams about cases I'm working on, but for the most part, I don't have all those nightmares anymore. And I really think that the whole sole purpose of all of that was to just get me on path. So, so pay attention to nightmares. And then, like I said, pay attention to those recurring dreams, because recurring dreams are usually trying to tell you something. And if you're not paying attention, you just can keep having it until you get the message. So a lot of times, it's easy to cut through. There's a lot going on in dreams, and they can be super confusing. But one of the easiest ways to just sort of cut through all of it and make some sense, especially those recurring dreams, is what were you doing and what were you feeling? So were you running from something? Were you trying to overcome some obstacle? Were you feeling trapped? Were you, what were you doing? What was the action that you were personally taking in the dream? That's a big hint to what the dream's trying to tell you, those recurring dreams. So if the dream changes a little bit, but it's got the same theme, definitely that's what you want to pay attention to. So if you're always running from something, in a dream, but the dream circumstances change, you need to stop and take a look at what it is you're running from in your life, because that's what the dream's trying to tell you, something about that. So pay attention, like I said, to the action that you're actually taking in the dream. What it is are you doing, and what are you feeling in the dream? What's your emotion around it? So those are two big hints to sort of cut through all of the craziness that's going on in a dream, and sort of get to the heart of maybe what the message is. And then all the details around it will kind of help understand the circumstances in your own life that dream's trying to tell you about. So hi ladies, do you guys have any questions for me? I've had so many really, really powerful dreams. I just think that they're brilliant. Sometimes at the time they make no sense whatsoever, and it's not until I look back in retrospect that they make perfect sense. So I was just telling in the class, I was just telling them the story today about one of my first early dreams I had. This was long before I was doing psychic detective work, and I was really trying to figure out where I was going in my life, what's my purpose, what am I supposed to be doing. So as I would fall asleep every night, I would ask what was my purpose, and to please give me a dream to tell me a little bit about what my soul's purpose was. And I would ask that question before I go to sleep every night. And one night, and I was starting to get a little frustrated because I felt like they weren't answering my question. But one night I had this dream, and hey Christy, one night I had this dream that I was in the woods with 2 or 3 other people, and I was following this dog around, and the dog's name was Lisa, which for me was really bizarre for a dog to be named Lisa. But but in this dream, I was in the woods and I was looking for a person who had gone missing, and then I woke up, and it was such a strange dream because at that time I had never been on a missing person search. It wasn't even in my realm of possibility. It wasn't even something I had ever even considered doing. So the dream was very strange to me, but it turns out, obviously that's what I ended up doing with my life. But what's interesting about that dream too was, I work with cadaver dogs a lot. But I also, my spirit guide's name is Lisa, and I didn't know that at the time. So I think that was a really, really cool dream, actually. But now I am in the woods quite a bit looking for missing persons. So using my guides and using dogs. So just a pretty cool dream. And like I said, at the time, it made absolutely 0 sense to me. So try not to discount some of the dreams. I know a lot of people just discount it as craziness, but really, if you write these things down and pay attention later, you'll see the wisdom and the brilliance of them. It's really amazing to me. So Christy, yeah, different people have different cycles. I tend to remember my dreams, those ones late in the morning, right before I wake up, the last dreams I'm having in the morning. Some people, if they take a nap, are really good at remembering their dreams in the afternoon when they take a nap. So I don't know if there is a norm. I think, but it's great that you are remembering your dreams. Definitely try to write them down. Okay. And it shook. Interesting. So like I said, sometimes, hi Amy, sometimes when, I've had dreams too where it didn't seem like it had anything to do with my life. Um, like I didn't recognize any of the people that were with me, and I didn't really recognize what was going on around me. It just seemed so completely crazy. So sometimes those are empathic dreams, that you're dreaming somebody else's experience. Not always, though. I mean, it could be if the fact that you got into a boat and it was shaking and feeling rickety and you were panicking. I mean, you could be having fears about some new venture or something, some new emotional territory you're moving into. It could be a message that has something to do with that. Because they say when there's water in the dream, that represents emotions. So pay attention when there's water in the dream. Is it calm? Is it stormy? Is it soothing, or is it scary? Hi, Joanne. Walking backwards in a dream when you're trying to remember. Does it help you see the truth versus imagination? It doesn't really help me so much with the interpretation as it helps me to recall as much of the dream as I can. We found that when you start writing it down, go off on a tangent, start making yeah, well, so it's just like intuitive work, right? You don't want to add anything that you absolutely don't see. You don't want to embellish, so you definitely want to be careful not to embellish. So I try to write it down exactly as I saw it without embellishing it or interpreting it in that moment. It's definitely, you don't want to try to interpret it as you're recording it, because then you'll impose your own stuff on the dream. So be sure to just write it exactly as you saw it and what you heard and what you experienced, and try not to get into interpretation mode at that point. Does that make sense, Joanne? Hi, Diane. Welcome back, everybody. I feel like it's been so long since I've been here. It's just been such a crazy couple of months here in California with the fires and the mudslides and holidays and everything else. So I'm glad to be back, and glad you guys are able to jump on here in the middle of the day and join me. Yeah, so Joanne, that's the big thing, is just try to record exactly what it was as best as you can recall, and don't get caught up in the interpretation at that point. That comes later. So, had a dream where you saw a friend dead, woke up crying hysterically a few days later. Okay, so a lot of people, I'm really sorry to hear about your loss, Sarah Lee. A lot of people have had that experience, and a lot of people wonder about that. Why do we have those kinds of traumatic dreams about losing somebody? And my belief about that is that it's sort of a buffer, a preparation to help you absorb the shock of it. I really think it's a preparation to help you sort of deal with some of it first in your dream state, and then that helps soften the blow a little bit in your waking state. So a lot of people are really freaked out by those kinds of dreams, and they think that somehow it had something to do with it, or they're just freaked out that they foresaw something bad like that. But honestly, I still believe it's your subconscious trying to help you and protect you. And it's really just trying to prepare you and soften the blow a little bit. So I think it's just a way of keeping you from being completely blindsided, so that you can process some of your emotions. I know my ex-husband died really suddenly. This was years ago. And I didn't see it coming, but I'd had several dreams that sort of pointed to that, just because of his absence in the dreams all the time. But I felt really blindsided by it because I wasn't super prepared for it. Hadn't really seen it coming. So so sometimes I think it's a gift. I think it's just Spirit's way of sort of preparing you and getting you, letting you process some of it. And I know too that sometimes when you're not processing some grief like that, heavy grief, or something traumatic in your life, sometimes when we're not processing it, we're not dealing with the emotions of it, we'll deal with it in our dream state. So my eldest son, who obviously had lost his dad, was the one of my kids that really wasn't processing his emotions, and he would have these nightmares and have these really intense dreams. And I still believe that was him processing this stuff in his dream state because he wasn't really dealing with it in his waking state. So dreams, I just believe dreams are there to help you. Even the really horrible, scary stuff, I still believe that the purpose of it is to help you and not to traumatize us and that kind of stuff. But they really are there for a purpose. And if we can just not freak out and shut down and be afraid of them, there is something, there's something to gain from them. Brought to a traveler's house. Very cool. Really cool. And I love magical dreams. I mean, not all dreams are bad and scary and terrifying. Sometimes we have really, really inspiring dreams too. Dreams that are encouraging us to reach for the stars or involve magical stones and things like that. So those are usually dreams that are telling us to sort of tap into our own magical power. So that's pretty cool. It reminds me of flying dreams. Sarah Lee, yes, indeed. That's exactly it. It's like when you're not dealing with it in your life, a lot of times you'll sob and you'll cry and you'll process all those emotions in your dream state. Okay. Yes, and visitation dreams too. That's another thing that people get a little confused by. Because they're just not sure if it's their imagination, if it really is a loved one. There are ways to recognize visitation dreams, and usually you wake up from them feeling really warm and comfortable and happy. That's one of the ways you can tell that you've actually had a visitation dream. It's usually they leave you with this profound feeling of love and warmth. And a lot of times, people are confused and think that their loved one's got some important message and is trying to tell them something. Sometimes that's true. Usually they're just saying hello. They just want to say hi and I'm okay and here I am and I love you and everything's good. So that's a lot of times what visitation dreams really are about. They're just checking in to say hello. It's kind of like a big spiritual hug. Yes, Elaine is in the class, so happy to have her. And thank you. So anybody else have any big things around dreams that sort of really confuse you? Yeah, yes, that's the other aspect of visitation dreams, is that they seem so real. They seem very, very real. And I think it's because they are. It's sort of like, I think that we are meeting them in sort of an astral space. And so we are having that contact, we are having that meeting, and it does seem very, very real. Very cool. Yes, and like I said, it's always just about love. It's always just about here I am and I'm okay, and just saying hello. Diane, and I'll tell you guys kind of a funny story about one of my visitation dreams. A couple years back, one of my dogs. Yes, dogs will come back too, just like people. Dogs will come into your dreams. Very cute. That is the other thing too to understand about visitation dreams. Thanks for mentioning that, Diane. Not only with the dogs but with the humans, is they usually present themselves looking really good. So they look healthy, happy, radiant. If they died from a long illness, or you're remembering them in that state, a lot of times they'll show up and they'll be very radiant and healthy looking, and you'll marvel at how good they look. That's sort of a trademark aspect of visitation dreams. So I'm not surprised that you had that with your dog too. It's very sweet. Yeah. Yeah, I one of my mentors, his name was Alan Vaughn. Actually, those of you who don't know of him, he was a parapsychologist. He was a skeptic who was studying psychics, and he actually became a psychic himself and a parapsychologist. But I worked with him before his passing, and he came to me in a dream after he passed. And in the dream, it was really funny because I went to his house and I knocked on the door and went in to visit with him. And we had dinner and we danced, and then I hugged him goodbye. It was time to go. And then when I left, what was interesting, because when he hugged me goodbye, it felt like felt like a longer hug than normal, like, you know, a real goodbye type hug. And then when I left, in my dream, I was driving home and I stopped at a store or something. And what's funny about that dream is when I stopped at the store, I realized that he was dead and that I was having a visitation with him. And so I started asking people if they could see me. So I kept asking people in the dream if they could see me. And they would look at me like I was crazy and say yes. So that was kind of a weird, funny, cool dream. So Joanne, think of your mother. Yeah, that does not sound like a visitation dream, because visitation dreams always leave you feeling good, and they don't leave you feeling concerned or full of guilt or any of those kinds of things. Real contact with spirit always leaves you feeling good. So you can always ask them, you know, to come to you and visit you in your dreams. But it takes patience too. The thing about dreams is you can't control them. You can incubate them. You can ask for them and be patient and wait for the answer. But dreams are kind of like Alan Vaughn used to talk about the dream tiger, and it was like wrangling your dreams is kind of like wrangling a tiger. So you can't absolutely control your dreams, but they are there fiercely to protect you. So you do have to be patient. Sometimes you may ask the same question over and over and over, and it may take a while for you to have the dream that actually is answering your question. There's times where I will be struggling with some issue in my life and not purposely ask for a dream, and then get the dream anyway. And then there are times where I'm asking for the dream over and over, and it seems like I don't get the answer for quite some time. Yes, probably so, Marianne. Our loved ones definitely can find us anytime that they want to. Um, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Sarah Lee. I've definitely had dreams like that where, not always, but I've definitely had dreams like that where I couldn't find something and they showed me in my dream where it was. So, hi Teresa, nice to see you here. Um, yeah, so there's, like I said, you have to be patient. You can ask the question quite a few times before you get the answer. And a lot of times, the only hard part about dreams for me is that we can misinterpret the meaning of them, or we can assign the dream to something else when it's really the answer to a different thing. So, so you have to be aware of those kinds of problems when you're interpreting your dreams, because some people, this is why I don't like to use my dreams so much in missing person cases, because it's really easy to assign your dream to the wrong case if you work more than one case. I've seen that happen more than once. So I'm really careful about using dreams in some of my cases, just because you can definitely misinterpret the dream. So Mary, you asked why a coworker had called to tell me. I asked him, in the dream, you asked him why the coworker had called to tell me. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. And keep in mind too that when spirits cross onto the other side and they come to see you in a dream, their intention is just to let you know that they are okay and that they're safe and they're happy and that they love you. So typically all of the little life details that we're dealing with aren't that important to them. They're in such a happy, blissful place that their concern really is only that you're happy and that you're okay. So a lot of times, all these details of life, they are, not flippant about, but those aren't big concerns for them. So a lot of times I can see why they would shrug and go, I don't know. Just remember that they're in a super, super happy place. I say that a lot too, is that they don't necessarily have big opinions on whether you keep the house or sell the house, or these kinds of decisions that have to do with material objects and things like that. All they care about is that you're okay, and that that you know that they're okay, and they just want you to be safe and happy and doing as well as you can be. Thank you, Miriam. Okay, so does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up here today? Like I said, I think for me, visitation dreams are the most straightforward, the easiest ones to understand, because like I said, usually it's just the intent of the person to come and show you love and let you know that they're okay and that kind of thing. Precognitive dreams, I just feel like most dreams have a precognitive aspect to them in some way, and you're not going to understand it so much unless you start recording them and paying attention to how things play out in hindsight. that has worked a lot for me in my life and in even in my work even. But like I said, a lot of these dreams made no sense whatsoever when I had them. I just wrote everything down. And then when I went back like a month or even 2 months later, and the other thing that you should know about recording your dreams, not only just recording the dream and the date, it's important to write the date and write the dream, but it's kind of good to write a little paragraph too about what's going on in your life at that point in time, because that will help sort of remind you where you were in your life when you had that dream. And that will give you some bit of point of reference too. So when you're going back over your dreams, that'll make some that'll help you decipher some of it. But try to write a little bit about maybe where you were in your life at that point when you were having some of these dreams. But I have found at the time they made absolutely no sense to me at all, and then later you could see the precognitive aspects of it. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, probably Marianne. Probably some sort of a message there about treating her spirituality as a precious gift. Absolutely, I would agree with that. Um, cool, Bryant. Hi, good to see you. I was saying too, for those of you, that don't remember your dreams, because we all dream, we just don't always remember. So, so if you weren't on in the beginning, I talked about, I know it sounds crazy, but taking vitamin B, if you are low on vitamin B, you will not remember well, I guess I can't say you will not, but taking vitamin B actually helps you remember your dreams. So they have done studies, so it's not just me being crazy. But really it's setting the intention that you're gonna remember your dreams. That's a huge thing. It's just setting your intention that you want to start remembering more of your dreams and the messages that they have for you. So sometimes, too, I may not remember the dream at all, but I will wake up with the answer, which kind of sounds like what you might be talking about, Brian. So sometimes I don't actually remember the dream or the details of the dream, but I know the answer, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's kind of a weird tip, but it definitely medications and our hormones and health conditions, those kinds of things do play a role in whether we remember our dreams or not. But truly, I have found that if I'm not remembering my dreams, then I start taking vitamin B. It helps. It's really crazy. Hi, Amy. Welcome. I know I surprised you guys in the middle of a Monday, so I'm just impressed that any of you guys are here right now. So thanks for that. Thanks for that. Like I said, I didn't want to try to compete with the Super Bowl, so we decided not to do it on Sunday, and so I'm grateful that you guys were able to show up here in the middle of a Monday. Oh, got it. Okay. So, so I think dreams are just absolutely brilliant. I love them. I love studying them. Like I said, they've played a huge role in my life, just getting me on this path and providing guidance all along while I was on this path. And certainly I've gotten a lot of information about my own life through dreams, about things that were going to happen, both good and bad. Things that were going to be painful, things that were going to be joyful, people that were going to end up being important to me, that I had just met. Sometimes I would have dreams. So all of those things I just think are very, very cool. And then, like I said, there's the blind spot dreams, which are the hardest ones to interpret because we're being shown something that's in our blind spot that we're having a hard time seeing. So those are really great dreams when they help you sort of move past some sort of blind spot you've got in your life. I was trying to think of an example of a blind spot dream. I know I've had them come up in classes where people were everybody else in the class could see what the meaning of the dream was, except for the person that had it, because it was difficult for them to see the meaning of the dream. But they can be really, really profound in helping you move past some place where you're really stuck. And not everybody has empathic dreams. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of those where I was dreaming through other people's eyes. And those I find super confusing because a lot of times, at the time, I don't know that I'm dreaming from somebody else's point of view. And protection dreams, it's definitely one thing that I say this about intuition, and I definitely say it about dreams too, is if you're given a warning, if you're given some sort of a warning, just don't blow it off. Just don't dismiss it as being nonsense. Because that's the worst thing that could be. So if you are being given some sort of a warning or some sort of a heads up about something you're getting ready to do, definitely, take heed and don't just dismiss something that's inconvenient. So, that could be anything. If you were getting ready to travel and you had a disturbing dream about an airplane or a car crash or something like that. I'm not trying to scare you, but if you ever do have any of those kinds of realistic dreams, definitely take heed and don't just blow it off as stress or nonsense. Yeah, it's hard to know which B is, if it's 6 or 12. Sometimes I just have them take the complex. It's usually it's either B6 or B12. That's right. And and it doesn't work for everyone. Like I said, sometimes there's medications. Sometimes there's different medications that seem to hinder remember our dreams. Sometimes there's hormone issues. So it's not a 100%, but it definitely does seem to help. And I think really the biggest point too is setting the intention that you're going to do it, that you want to remember your dreams and that they're important to you, and you're going to be paying attention and listening. I think it's sort of like, if you never paid any attention to them or blew them off as just being crazy silliness, then you tend to not get them as frequently as those who are paying attention to them and really, really appreciate them and see them sort of as a gift. So once you sort of switch your thinking about them, that seems to make a big difference too. I know it did for me. As soon as I started recording my dreams, it seems like I started getting a flood of them. So I'm never amazed. I never cease to be amazed at how brilliant they are, though. There's usually some. I always say every dream has a meaning, and unexplored dreams are like unopened letters. So I still truly, truly believe that. Okay, so any other questions before we sign off? Like I said, we're starting a class today. For those of you it's a short little 2-week class. So if you guys are interested in learning about your dreams and you want to join us, you have time to jump in there today. We're just getting started. Yeah, so the thing of, everybody dreams. Absolutely everybody dreams. Nobody doesn't dream. Scientists have definitely proved that, unless he's got some crazy sleep patterns that are keeping him out of the proper dream state. It's just, yeah, some people just do not remember them. So a lot of times it's just a matter of if they wake up, what stage they're waking up at. So yes, everybody absolutely does dream. Definitely that is true. And I've certainly had dreams, I've certainly had dreams that I couldn't remember, if I didn't write them down first thing, they were gone by the afternoon. And then I've had other dreams, like you're saying, Marianne, that were so intense and so powerful that I remember them 10, 20 years later, just like they were yesterday, like every detail. Hi there, Incia. So we're just chatting about dreams here. We're about to wrap up. But yeah, there are some dreams that will just stay with you, for a really, really long time, every detail of it. And then there's others that they seem to be so fleeting that if you don't write them down, then they're gone. So the only dreams that don't fit into what I'm saying, this pattern, are that sometimes we will have, this doesn't happen to me very often, but it's definitely happened, and I know students have told me it's happened to them, is where they just sort of had some random conversation that wasn't important about anything, like talking to a neighbor about milk or something, and then 3 days later they have that conversation and have that weird sense of deja vu. I don't know what those dreams are about. Those are the only ones that I have no idea what those dreams are about. Obviously there's a precognitive aspect to it, but I've definitely had those where I have this dream that I just have this little snippet of conversation that doesn't seem to be very significant, and then that will play out in a few days or something. Okay, so that's all I've got to say. Thanks you guys for showing up, like I said, on Monday and sharing some of your dreams and your questions. So it's good to see everybody here. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that things are sort of calming down here in California, and hopefully we can get back to normal. So thanks for all of you who sent a lot of love our way here in Ventura County during the fires and stuff. So appreciate all that. And thank you guys for stopping by. Okay, and I will see you guys soon. It won't be I promise it won't be 2 months this time before I'm back. Thanks, everybody.